Hello, this is Shoddy Strawman once again back to give you another update on Little Cup Banlist. We have banned Misdreavus. I'm so glad to see it gone. As I went over in my previous video, it had way too much going on. It had Terra Fighting and Electric, as seen here. You could also run Terra Dark, so that way you can get over Giraffe Rig Terra Fairy, so that way you can beat opposing Terra Fightings. It was very, very, very unhealthy. You also have Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, and a great stat tier. So it's got 435 base stats, but it's got 60, 60, 85 on bulk, which is already really, really solid. Plus, as mentioned in this post, we have very limited knockoff. We have got 7 knockoff users. That's it. And the reason why that's important is because if you want to be able to attack into any of the Misdreavus, you can't reduce its defense. Eviolite boosts the defense and special defense by 1.5 times, so because you can't knock off Eviolite, it's just way too bulky, and any stray hits are going to get soaked up really, really easily. Also, we don't have Pursuit. We still don't have it. We had it in Gen 7 and beforehand, but we don't have it in this one, and that's really annoying because if we had that, this would be significantly easier to deal with. Alright, so it's like Pawniard switches in, or Diglett switches in, it's kind of fast. And even if it has Levitate to escape from Arena Trap, you can still use Pursuit on it, get 160 base power because it's super effective, plus you get the double boost from it switching out. It would still do a lot in the way of curbing this, but don't even have that. And it's also immune to Arena Trap because of Levitate. With all that being said, it's finally banned. We also, as I said before, Tandemaus is unbanned, and that was because it does not get Population Bomb. So if we just remove these, and then we do Validate, Tandemaus's move, Population Bomb, is learned at 46. It does not get it yet. So what that means is that, because we're in a level 5 metagame, it does not learn the move Population Bomb, and therefore cannot go OHKOing everything. And then the most important thing that we realized is that Berry Juice is currently unobtainable in Gen 9, and therefore cannot be held by Pokemon. And this is exceedingly important, because if you look over to one of the big resources, A Brief Guide to the Mechanics of Little Cup, one of the items that you have to be most aware of is Berry Juice. And that's because of how base stats work. So if Tandemaus has a Berry Juice, it only has 21 HP to start out. So if you give it a Berry Juice, it'll be able to heal back up to full if it goes below 50%. And this was exceedingly important at letting you do things such as Belly Drum. Satotl loved using it, especially because it's got such a high HP stat anyway. So you can take a hit, go down to 10 HP, go up, back up to full, Belly Drum, and then you also have Belly Drum plus Ice Shard, and that's also really, really powerful because you have priority off of a pretty good attack stat. So if you're running max, you get up to 17. But if you get that plus Belly Drum, it's going to be really, really powerful. But because you can't get up to full, you have to use Oranberry instead. And that really hurts it, because even if it's at 27 HP and if Belly Drum's down, you have to run some IVs to make it so it's 26, so you actually proc your berry. But you don't even get back up to full. With Berry Juice, you could. And then you have stuff like Azurill also really likes using it because it's got huge power, Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, and then you can Terra Water to make it really good. Give it a good defensive typing, stab on Aqua Jet. And that would work really well too, and obviously it has much more benefit to use Oranberry on this, because his HP stat isn't anywhere near as big as Satotl's. But both of these take a huge hit for not being able to take like 3/4 of HP in a single attack, then get back up to full, Belly Drum, and keep going. It means so much. And also one of the sets that I had mentioned with Misdreavus also use Berry Juice, because if you even get it down below half health, then you have to redo all of that progress all over again. And because of how HP stats were, it was really easy to get down to like 75% gone, have 5 HP left, and then it's like, oh, nah, I got Berry Juice, I just go all the way up to full. And it was really annoying to deal with. But now that's gone. And perhaps one of the most important things that it does is that it makes cheese significantly worse. So if you want to use a setup sweeper, like a Dragon Dancer, I don't think they're currently all that good, but I mean, like, you have these options of Dragon Dancers, and then it would become significantly worse if you had to use Oran Berry instead of Berry Juice, because even if you have Axew, 21 HP, it's like same HP stat, but if you could get back up to full after belly drumming, then that would be really good, but now you can't, because there's no Berry Juice, so it makes She significantly worse. And one of the things that people really hated, especially with combination of Misdreavus and Girafarig, was screens. Reflect Light Screen was really, really powerful, because it was so hard to get rid of, because you have a lack of defog, and most of the things that the only, well, 2 Mons really like running it, or would even be able to run it and not be severely crippling on your team structure. And that would be one way to get rid of it, but then you could also run Brick Break, and that would also work, and that's got some pretty alright, you got options there, but also you could just go from Impidimp into Misdreavus, and that would block the Brick Break anyway, and you can't deal with it that way. Or you could use Psychic Fangs, because that also gets rid of screens, but then the issue with that is that Impidimp blocks it because it's Dark type, so it's really hard to remove screens, and one of the things that made screens exceedingly good was that you got Berry Juice to go along with it, so you take reduced damage from those hits, and then you could just set up really, really easily and sweep through teams. But now with no Berry Juice, that becomes significantly worse. In addition to Misdreavus being banned, so that means Brick Break is much more reliable. You have to go and use one of the other ghost types, perhaps Ghastly or Drifloon. And both of them are pretty alright, but they're significantly less bulky. Ghastly's got 30 base defense, 35 base special defense, and it really does not like seeing Poniard anyway, because it can Iron Head into it and deal a lot of damage. And obviously it still has like Nasty Plot and stuff, and you can still use it. But screens, by removing Berry Juice, become significantly worse, because on set of Pokemon you would prefer to run Berry Juice, Oran Berry, and all that sorts of stuff instead. You can also run Life Orb, and that's kind of cool, and I mean that's still going to be good with screens, but no Berry Juice means that it's significantly, you have to play much faster, you have a lot less longevity, and it's going to make Cheese a lot worse. But also Lifelay was a big concern, just because of how long it would make it. So having the extra longevity and having to wait out those 8 turns is going to be really hard. But now it's significantly easier. Now some mons are still going to be really good with it. So you have Girafarig, that's not banned yet, but you can still run like Eviolite on this, and then Nasty Plot. You could also run Rest Calm Mind, that kind of stuff. And they're still going to be hard to break through. But I think on a whole, hyper offense and those sorts of cheesing teams that are just meant to go really fast and get an opening are going to have a significantly harder time in the current meta without Berry Juice. And that's all of the bans that we have so far. Alright, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And hopefully this gave you a better understanding of why things were banned. I'll see you later.